Breaking news. The designation. On November 16, 2025, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a statement that has sent shockwaves across the geopolitical landscape of Latin America and could redefine international relations in the Western Hemisphere for decades to come. The United States has officially designated Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles, Cartel of the Suns, as a foreign terrorist organization, FTO, effective November 24, 2025. This is no ordinary designation. According to the official State Department communique, this organization, allegedly led by Nicolas Maduro and other high-ranking officials of the illegitimate Venezuelan regime, has systematically corrupted Venezuela's armed forces, its intelligence services, its legislature, and its judicial system. The statement is forceful. Based in Venezuela, the Cartel de los Soles is led by Nicolas Maduro and other high-ranking officials of the illegitimate Maduro regime who have corrupted Venezuela's armed forces, intelligence, legislature, and judiciary. But here comes the most interesting and controversial legal nuance of this designation. The document explicitly states that neither Maduro nor the cronies representing this illegitimate government are designated as foreign terrorist organizations. This legal distinction is crucial and reveals the complexity of the situation. The United States is designating a network within the Venezuelan state apparatus as terrorist, but not the state itself or its leaders directly. The statement continues to identify other key players in this criminal ecosystem. The Cartel de los Soles and other designated foreign terrorist organizations, including the Tren de Aragua and the Sinaloa Cartel, are responsible for terrorist violence across our hemisphere, as well as drug trafficking into the United States and Europe. The implications of this designation are extraordinary. For the first time in recent history, the United States has formally labeled an entity directly connected to the power structures of a foreign government as a terrorist organization without designating the government itself. It is a delicate legal balance that allows for specific actions against individuals and networks while maintaining, at least technically, diplomatic relations with the Venezuelan state. But here arises the fundamental question that we will examine in depth during this analysis. What exactly is the Cartel de los Soles? Is it truly a hierarchical terrorist organization as described by the United States, or is it something completely different? And why is this designation happening precisely now, at this specific moment in history? To answer these questions, we first need to understand the military context surrounding this decision. Operation Southern Spear, the largest military deployment in the Caribbean in 30 years. To truly understand the magnitude and implications of this terrorist designation, we must examine what is simultaneously occurring in the waters of the Caribbean Sea. We are witnessing the largest deployment of U.S. military force in the region since operations in the 1990s, and possibly the most significant since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. On November the 10th, 2025, just 6 days before the designation of the Cartel de los Soles, the USS Gerald R. the most advanced and technologically sophisticated aircraft carrier ever to sail the world's oceans, officially entered the waters of the Caribbean Sea. This is not simply a routine naval deployment. The Ford represents the pinnacle of U.S. naval power and is accompanied by a full carrier strike group that includes 3 destroyers equipped with state-of-the-art guided missile systems, over 4,000 highly trained sailors, and 9 complete tactical air squadrons capable of projecting devastating firepower over a radius of hundreds of miles. But the Gerald R. Ford is only the visible tip of a much larger and deadlier spear. Let me detail the actual magnitude of the U.S. military presence currently deployed in and around the Caribbean. We are talking about approximately 15,000 U.S. military personnel, a figure not seen in the region for decades. Between 10 and 12 naval warships of different classes and capabilities are actively patrolling the territorial and international waters of the Caribbean. The Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group is present with 4,500 Marines ready for immediate deployment, a force capable of conducting large-scale amphibious assault operations. At air bases in Puerto Rico, the United States has deployed 10 F-35 Lightning II stealth fighters, the most advanced combat aircraft in the U.S. arsenal, virtually invisible to radar and capable of penetrating any known air defense system. Multiple MQ-9 Reaper drones conduct constant 24-hour surveillance, monitoring ground, maritime, and air movements throughout the region. Strategic B-52 Stratofortress bombers, veterans of conflicts from Vietnam to Iraq, are conducting training missions that demonstrate long-distance power projection capability beneath the surface. At least one nuclear-powered attack submarine silently patrols the depths of the Caribbean, invisible and undetectable, and in classified facilities, Special Operations Forces from the legendary 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, are prepared for high-risk missions, but there is more. The United States has made the strategic decision to reopen Naval Station Roosevelt Roads in Ceiba, Puerto Rico, a facility that had been closed since 2004 after the end of training operations in Vieques. This base has been reactivated specifically for these operations, and Puerto Rico has effectively become a forward operating platform, with approximately 5,000 troops permanently stationed in 5 different locations across the island. On November 13, 2025, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth officially formalized this massive military presence under the code name Operation Southern Spear. In his own words, this is a mission designed to defend our homeland, remove narco-terrorists from our hemisphere, and secure our homeland from the drugs that are killing our people. The language is deliberately broad, allowing for a range of actions that could span from counter-narcotics interdictions to much more complex operations, and operations have already begun with lethal consequences. Since September 2, 2025, U.S. forces have conducted at least 20 military strikes against vessels in Caribbean and Eastern Pacific waters, operations that have resulted in approximately 80 confirmed deaths. The Trump administration characterizes these attacks as legitimate counter-narcotics operations. But the pattern of frequency, intensity, and lethality suggests that something much broader and strategically significant is unfolding before our eyes. The Venezuelan response has been predictable but significant. The government of Nicolas Maduro has mobilized approximately 200,000 military personnel, a figure that includes both regular FANB armed forces and the Bolivarian militia, the government-armed civilian paramilitary organization. Venezuela has placed its air defense systems, including Russian S-300 anti-aircraft systems, on maximum operational alert. Its naval assets, although limited compared to the U.S. fleet, have been deployed in defensive positions. Coastal radar systems are operating in continuous surveillance mode. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez has issued public statements condemning the U.S. presence as a vulgar attack against Venezuelan sovereignty, and has vowed to defend the national territory at any cost. The question everyone in the geopolitical analysis community is asking is this: is this truly an operation against drug trafficking, as officially claimed by Washington, or are we witnessing the preparatory stages of a regime change operation in Venezuela? President Donald Trump has publicly stated that he has more or less decided on some type of military action regarding Venezuela, but deliberately refuses to specify what kind of action or when it might occur. This strategic ambiguity is, in itself, a form of psychological pressure on the Maduro regime. The New War. The designation of the Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization marks the official beginning of a new type of conflict in the Western Hemisphere. It is a war fought with financial sanctions, military presence, and a redefined legal status. For the United States, it means that the full weight of its counterterrorism apparatus is now aimed at the highest ranks of a sovereign government. For the region, it means profound instability where the lines between narco-state and legitimate state have completely collapsed. This is a developing story, and the implications of this FTO designation will define the geopolitics of the Caribbean for the next decade. Follow Warfare Report so you don't miss any detail about this crisis.